And now over to you, sir, with the gracious.
Good evening, and Amir, just so there are some moments that become so tied to an actor that before we begin with the session, we've lost it. So when you recall him as an actor, from the viewpoint of an actor, not somebody who knew him outside the industry, what would you say you saw in him?
Well, I've grown up watching him, and I mean, he was known as the action hero and the He-Man, and of course, he was extremely good, portraying these strong characters, action films. He was very good at that. But I think I don't know whether people have really known. He's done so well. Comedy, my God.
Yeah.
He does amazing comedy. He does amazing romance, dramas. So according to me, Dharamji was right up there as one of the finest actors that we have. So I've really looked up to him always. And what a handsome person. Today in fact, I'm not there in Bombay, but today's his prayer meeting, unfortunately. I'm missing it. And I was very close to him because in the last 1 year, I must have met him about 7-8 times.
Oh.
Yeah. Because I used to really enjoy his company, so I used to go and sit with him. One day I took Azhar with me, my son. I said, I want you to meet someone. Because Azhar has not seen his work really. But Azhar came with me and he spent a couple of hours with him, and it was really wonderful. Dharamji was not only such a fine actor, but he was a great human being. He was so gentle. He was like a gentle giant. And he was very loving, no matter who he would meet, whether it's a colleague, whether it's someone not from the industry, he would always be very warm and soft in meeting people, always. So he was a wonderful person, he was a great actor, and it's a great loss for all of us. We've lost a really amazing talent, I would say, and someone who we can all really learn from even now as we watch his films. And he had such a command of his language. I mean, his Hindustani was so, itni saaf unki zaban thi. It was amazing to hear him. Even in live events when he would speak, he had such grace. Amazing grace.
Yeah. You have pretty much tried to explore every possible genre. You've done the comedies, you've done the dramas, you've done the snake film, you've done everything.
Yeah.
So, was that a conscious decision after a point? Because in the early days, when you were doing, of course, Curiosity became a massive hit, and that branded you for some time. You were doing films with Neelam, with Juhi.
Actually, my second film was Rak.
Yeah.
It was completely opposite of Curiosity.
For some reason, I remember it was coming before Curiosity. This was like
No.
Okay.
It came after. It was also shot after. We started Curiosity in '86. It was August of '86 when we did the Mahurat.
Okay.
Raji and Krishna ji had come either, but they were close friends of Pasasa. So it was '86 August we started, and it released in '88. Yeah. And Rak started in '87.
Okay.
And released in '89 or '90.
Okay. Yeah. So that, it's interesting.
Well, to answer your question, I think I got your question. See, the thing is that I've always been someone who's loved stories. Listening to Hawa Mahal, I don't know how many of you even know what it is. The youngsters, I don't think will know what is Hawa Mahal. It was like a radio skit, you remember what it was? Yeah, I have a So I used to love stories, and it wasn't so thought out as people may imagine, but I just felt instinctively that when I've done a certain kind of film, then I don't want to do the same thing again. It's boring for me. It's not fun. It's not exciting. Same cheez aap dobara kar rahe ho. Same cheez aap 10 dafa kar rahe ho. I can't do it. So that is why right from the beginning I've chosen different kinds of films. I guess that's the answer.
And in the process, you also become one of the few stars of Indian cinema who's a star, but who also has kind of slipped through that star image trap. Yes, one might say that you made socially conscious films at times or whatever, but there are certain actors who become stars and they get identified with a particular image. Okay, like, I'm going to this person, I'm going to get this combination of whatever it is, that combination.
With me, you don't know what it is.
We don't know what it is. And I think that's
exactly how I like it.
Yeah.
See, I like to surprise my audience, I like to surprise myself. Don't do the same thing again and again.
Yeah.
So, it's just out of how I am as a personality that I've picked different scripts. And I've always gone with what excites me personally. I see a lot of film people tend to try and second guess the audience. So what is it that I should make today? So the obvious answer is what people are watching, what are the films running nowadays in the market. So you try and make that genre. If it's action, you make action. If it's comedy, you try and pick up a comedy film. But I've never thought that way. I've not been able to think that way. I pick films based on my own personal excitement towards the story. And that often, in fact most often, that goes against what is the norm at that time. I remember when I was doing an action film for the first time, Gajni. Action was out. And everyone told me कि यार तू अभी action कर रहा है, action film में नहीं चल रही आजकल. So Gajni came and again action came into fashion. But so I've always, actually when you're saying star, I don't know how I became a star. By all logic, I should not have been a star. I broke all the rules and I did everything impractical. So ऊपर वाला मेहरबान है मेरे पे कि मुझे इतनी इज्जत और सक्सेस मिली है, वरना प्रैक्टिकली मैंने सारे जो स्टेप्स लिए थे वो सक्सेस के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से नहीं थे. इनफैक्ट मोस्ट ऑफ देम, मतलब ऑलमोस्ट एवरी फिल्म आई यूज्ड टू पिक अप, I used to be like, I don't know whether this is going to work.
Yes. And it has an afterlife, and it makes people talk about certain things, and it creates news because of its release pattern, post-theatrical, and all these things. Does it create a sense of validation in you to, yes, I'm still on the right track?
I think, yeah, it does, especially this time. Because before Sitare, I was told that you must take on an action film. Because that's what's running, big
This pan-India, what they call pan-India.
Pan-India, or, massive action thriller kind of a film, spy film or something. And it's a nice idea, I'm not denying that I should do an action film. But I need to get something that excites me. And what excited me was the Spanish film called Champions, which we made into Sitare Zameen. And such a beautiful film, it just won my heart. It just won my heart. So when something, touches me so deeply, then I have to do that. I can't do anything else. So against the advice of people close to me, I ended up doing a film, on disabilities, on challenges. And I was told by everyone that this film is not going to work. And people don't like to watch people with disabilities on screen, and audiences don't like to go to the theatres for these kind of films. They want to have a good time, so why are you making this film? But I think the audience has proved everyone wrong, and the way the film got the reaction, the kind of love and respect the film got was unprecedented. So I am really happy that audiences, don't only want to watch one kind of film, I feel. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what genre you're making it, what genre you're working in, but you have to, each film that you make has to be really, hitting on the right notes. And so even if you're making an action film, at the end of the day, you need a good story for that. Gajni is an action film, but what a story. The character of Kalpana, she's the heart of the film. So I think that even in action, you need good stories, you need writers and good stories to make a good action film. Not all action films do well.
Yeah. Now that we're talking about Sitare, there is one aspect about the film there are many interesting things about the film, but there's one aspect that really stands out, which is that there is no pity in the movie. That's a little unusual, because in India, Indian films rather, we make slightly broader based films.
And we are more emotional.
Emotional. So, But the beautiful thing about Sitare is that there is no oh bechara, that not for the kids, right?
Yes, yes.
They
So-
all have strong attitudes.
No, they are all sorted guys.
sorted people. So was that ever a point of
No, that was the
worry?
reason I did the film.
Okay.
You see, in the original Champions, this was one of the things that hit me. That here are these 10 people who are supposed to be disabled and who are, called mentally challenged, and they are looked down upon, and people judge them, feeling that they are incapable of doing anything. But in this film, those 10 characters are full of life, always playing on the front foot, and they are not shown with any pity के बेचारे हैं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं, वो अपने जैसे ही है भाई. थोड़ा हमसे slow है, बाकी सब same है. They might take little 2 minutes more than us, and that's the truth. Because I'm telling you, in the film, everyone I meet asks me कि आपको तो बहुत problem होएगी ये film shoot करने में. It's so difficult to work with people with disabilities. The fact is that no, it was easier to work with them. Because they are so focused, they are so involved. If half our actors and technicians, I'm sorry to say this, but if half our actors and technicians were as involved as them, you would have every film would have been a hit. So they are so hardworking, they are so, and they understand in 2 minutes. They are not, in 2 minutes they understand what you want them to understand. So this is all. So I felt that the original film, one of the beauty of the original film was that it is not treating them in any different way as you would treat a, neurotypical person or neuroatypical person. In that film, everyone is treated the same way, and that was one of the beautiful things about the film, which we retained, and yeah.
Now, given another conflict and your TV show, supplementary, is there one part of you that also wants or tries to have every film
Something social.
put out something? Because even when you introduce
One who's interested in actively going and taking up issues, and that's not me. What is me is storytelling. What is me is films. That's my world. And I'm very sharply aware that when a person comes to a cinema hall, he or she is not coming there for a lesson in sociology. For that, they would go to a college. The fact that they've come to a cinema hall means they want to be entertained. I'm sharply aware that my primary responsibility to my audience is to give them a good time, is to entertain them. But the word entertain is not just make you laugh. I can make you cry also and entertain you. Basically, I want to engage you in one way or the other. I can scare you by making a horror film. I can make a suspense thriller. I can make a family drama. At different genres. So, sorry, where was I? Lost my track.
the social.
So I'm not actively looking here. For example, right now I'm looking for my next film. I'm deciding which one to do. So I'm not thinking, or not in the past have I ever thought that which is the next social topic I should pick up. That does not occur to me at all. I'm only interested in doing films which excite me and scripts which I think are great. Now, it's maybe the kind of person I am. So I'm not thinking like that. I'm looking at scripts. When I hear the script of Tare Se Par, I'm seeing that the script is a really rock solid script. When I'm listening to the script of 3 Idiots, which is actually a social story, it's a social message of the film has about education, and where it says really important things, but it's a great script. So the first attraction for me is the great script. And if that great script is also telling us something which is socially relevant, Sone pe suhaga, it's all the better. But I'm not trying to look for social themes. Now, it may sound odd because I've done so many films which are social, so it feels odd that I'm saying this. Clearly, I must have gone after social themes, but the fact is I haven't. But I think 2 things have happened. One is this: because of my upbringing, the kind of person I am, I think I get, attracted to certain slightly different things. And the other thing is that I've had the good fortune of these great writers coming to me with such good scripts. If Tare Se Par script had not come to me, I would not have done it. So all these films which I'm getting the credit for, the first credit has to go to the writer. He thought of the story. He or she sat alone and came up with this idea, the characters, the story, the theme, research. When you're making a social topic, you have to do a lot of research. So these writers actually need to get the credit for that. And I feel I'm fortunate कि मेरे सामने वो कहानी आ गई. नहीं आती तो मैं नहीं करता. So I think it's a combination of fortunately a lot of writers came up with social themes which I really liked. For example, Dangal is again one very important one. Lapata ladies, So as it turns out, when I look back, a lot of my films have got social themes. I agree, but I've not been picking social themes. वो automatically हो जाता है.
But I think you're undervalued. Yes, the writers, they bring you the. But I have a feeling
Writers,
that
directors. My childhood has got a lot to do with it, because I've never been to film school.
I've never done either.
You
Don't
know,
point to me, sir.
No, so what happened is because I was interested in stories, and like a lot of children are interested in listening to stories. I was one of them. So that fascination of listening to stories was so strong in me that a lot of writers and directors would come to my house to pitch stories to my father, who was a producer, and my uncle, who was a director. So whenever there was a person at home narrating something to my dad, I would hide behind the curtain and sit and listen to the story. Because I was only interested in listening to the story. After some time, my father got to know. My father was a very strict person, and I was very scared of him. So that's why I used to hide behind the curtain. Didn't have the courage to